I've said this before, that you feel an energy, right? When you walk into a space, when you don't even have to walk into a space, when you're living, you pick up an energy. Energy is contagious. It's ironic. Energy is contagious. Ideas are not contagious, right? If I'm a genius and you're an idiot, or rather you're the genius and I'm the idiot, I could spend a lot of time around you, but unless I go learn, I'm not going to become clever. But feelings are contagious, specific feelings. Pretty much most feelings. Anxiety is contagious, sadness is contagious, joy is contagious, wildness, silliness. And that's why you have societies that grow and do amazingly well when there's a good contagion, and you have societies that do bad. A bad contagion, Nazis, Hamas, etc., a contagion of negative energy, an emotion of bitterness, an emotion of anger, an emotion of hatred. These things are contagious. So if you have to ask yourself right now, as we're speaking, what is the contagion? What's the emotional contagion out there? What are people feeling? What's the vibe? I would say the vibe is heavy. On the one hand, many people are being vaccinated. On the other hand, COVID is still rampant. The third wave is only beginning. On the fourth hand, or on the other foot, there's the Israel scenario and the anti-Semitism are raised. There's the financial, there's death, there's just heaviness. I'm dealing with a lot of people, and the energy I'm just picking up from people is, to put it bluntly, there's this feeling by many that the best days of life are behind us. That the best days of our lives are behind us. And I've said this before, that I believe that the moment you reach a stage in your career when you believe that the best days are behind you, you should resign. And the moment you believe that the best days of life are behind you, you've given up on life. Yes, there were majestic moments of the youth. And maybe, in my 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, cannot do the same things I did when I was 20. But thank God for that as well, because there's a lot of things I could do, a lot of wisdom I could achieve later on in life. But if I believe fundamentally that the best days of life are ahead of me, I have what to live for. If I believe the best days of life are behind me, kaput, garnished, it's over, I have nothing to do. So there's this feeling that COVID has brought onto many of us, that the best days of life are behind us. World's not, just look at it, it's 9/11 and the crash. I mean, the 21st century has been a strange 20 years, 21 years. It's not going anywhere, Rabbi. It's just not going anywhere. I feel it. I feel it in my bones, Rabbi. I'm telling you, we're not going anywhere. I've lived enough. Anti-Semitism's on the rise. It's deja vu. The pessimists are feeling very vindicated these days. As I one time heard that it's always worth to be a pessimist, because if it works out well, mazel tov. And if it works out bad, I was right. The optimist, it only works if it works out well. But if it doesn't work out well, naive, petty, hunky-dory, living in the clouds, who do you think you are, etc. So we have to ask ourselves, what energy, as we started this year, energy is contagious, feelings are contagious. How protective are we of the contagion of our heart? We're so cautious. For the last 16 months, we haven't sat down and had a shiur face to face. We have not spoken to each other without a mask. We have not engaged in ways that were considered normal. Why? Because we didn't want to get the virus contagion. But during this time, we got a lot of other contagious. We've become pretty contagious. We've become pretty affected by social media, by TV, by negative talk, by conspiracy theories, Narishkeit. Narishkeit is silliness. This is the king of contagion. The amount of nonsense that gets forwarded. I'm not even talking about trash, like inappropriate stuff. I'm talking about stupid ideas, silly conspiracies, hatred, racist jokes, anti-Semitism, etc. How cautious are you of what goes on this? Do you watch this with as much caution as you do your body? You're so careful to not allow anything to go into your mouth and nose that might contain a virus. This invisible but powerful, deadly molecule that can go into you and hurt you. But what about the things that are going in here? And what about the things that are going in here? And what about the food, or kosher for that matter, that's going? In other words, which contagions are we cautious of and which ones are we not? Because, as I said, other than ideas, almost everything in this world is contagious. You don't have to do anything. With ideas, at least you have to listen to the other person's ideas. With feelings, you could just be there and it's contagious. What do you allow yourself to feel? What do you allow yourself to think? What do you allow yourself to do? What do you allow into the system? If a tiny droplet can affect you so badly, I just did a funeral for a young dad from it the last week. What kind of bad feeling, a pessimism, a bad idea, an anger, a resentment, a hatred, an ego, what can that do to us? Let me talk about kosher for a moment, not because I'm trying to punt kosher, although that's a good thing to do, but it's for me a perfect example. Everyone knows you are what you eat, or at least we know that slogan. But Torah has told us for 3,000 plus years that if you eat kosher meat, you're bringing into yourself healthy contagion, the kinds of stuff you need to pick up. If you put it in non-kosher, you're bringing in an unhealthy element into your body. We've always known this. We've always known that the body is so sensitive. Another example, touch between the genders. Torah has always known that touch is powerful, that it's not just platonic. If it's two beautiful people hugging each other who are not spouses, unless one of them, is gay, for example, there will be a slight attraction. If there isn't, it's not normal. Today we think, no, of course, he's not a creep, she's not a creep. But there is that. But for society, we got used to it. Touch doesn't mean much. There's no contagion. There's no energy that's being passed. I mean, if we hold each other for a half a split second extra, then it's creepy. But for the 3 seconds that it's reasonable, that's okay. But contagion is fast and powerful. There's an energy that transmits. It's natural for there to be an attraction to the other gender. It's almost, as Rabbi Manis Friedman says, if there isn't an attraction, that's a problem. That means there's something dead inside. Sexuality is something that's alive. It's vibrant, it's powerful, it's beautiful if used in the right way. So Judaism has always been aware of contagion. We've always known its potency, its power. We were told to live in a place of holy people, of good people, because we will be affected by their ways, to surround ourselves with scholars. We're even told to put books around the house just for the children to live in an environment of education, specifically Torah books. I mean, it's nice to surround them with Cat in the Hat, but chances are surrounding them with Chumash or Siddur will have more impact. The house is important. The mezuzah brings an aura to the home. There's a contagion. Everything's contagion. We set the tone in the home. We're told not to bring anger to the home, to bring love, to bring an energy so that the kids can be raised in an environment of love and affection and connection. We sit in the sukkah, taking the energy. I mean, I could give examples upon examples upon examples how Judaism has always felt there's a strong relationship between me and my environment. I am giving into my environment and I'm receiving from my environment. I'm giving into my environment. If I do acts of positivity, I'm pushing good energy into this world. If I'm, heaven forbid, doing something wrong, inappropriate, I'm pushing a negative energy into the world. And I'm being affected. Other people's energy is affecting me. The food I'm eating is affecting me. The person I'm engaging with is affecting me. Everything. I'm constantly in a give and take interaction with the world. No human being is an island. You're breathing the air of the world. You are breathing in oxygen. You're eating the food of the world. We are not in a cliche way, we're interconnected. The point is we're part of this world. We're pretty much like fish in water. The fish goes out of water, it's dead. By us, we don't live in water, we live in air, but it's the same thing. We're surrounded by air, we're surrounded by oxygen. If you put a human being without a suit in space, they'll die in a moment. You need to be surrounded by an environment because you're constantly feeding into it and receiving from it. Constant, this give and take that each and every one of us has with the world and with the people around us, with the environment, with everything. So if we live in a contagious society, how conscious are we of it? How aware are we of it? That everything we do matters. I started off the shir by saying that many people are feeling this heavy energy. Are we contributing to that heavy energy, or are we trying to contribute a light? And yes, if I'm honest with myself, I've seen stuff in the last few years, heaviness and pain that I never dreamed I would see in my lifetime. Just from the role I have and the interactions I've. But I've mentioned this before. I have also become aware how dangerous it is to my sense of self if I start convincing myself that what I feel is reality. If I start believing that what I'm seeing is reality. If somebody, let's say, works in Hatzalah, they'll see a certain amount of pain every day. And at some stage, you could convince yourself that that's reality. If you're a cancer surgeon, you're working in an oncology department, you convince yourself the whole world's full of cancer. And pretty much any reality you in, that becomes your reality. But the truth is that, yes, there's pain, but there's also so much goodness. And yes, there's still godliness, there's still beauty, there's still love, there's more love than ever. The human being is still capable of so much greatness. My point is simply, what narratives are we listening to? What are we becoming contagious? We become addicted to bad news. We become addicted to, I know the vaccine's coming, but did you see? In another year, we're going to need another vaccine. And whatever, something else is going to come, a new virus, and we're all going to die. There's just like this gallows humor that as Jews we've had in other eras, but is so inappropriate for today. It's inappropriate for today. Despite all the challenges, we still live in amazing times. I'm talking to you. I know this sounds stupid. I'm talking to you on Zoom with a yarmulke on my head. We're talking Torah. No one's putting a gun to my head for it. That's more than my grandparents could dream of. I'm alive. I have food on the table. If I struggle with food on the table, think that I don't, I can reach out and the chesed will help me. I'm not going to die from starvation like some of my relatives did. The point is to live with a sense, everyone says live with gratitude. It's choose what to be contagious of. Choose what you want into your system. None of us want coronavirus inside of us. Do we want inappropriateness? Do we want wisdom? Do we want anger? Do we want despair? What do you want? What do you want to flow through your veins? What do you want to go into your system? Because a tiny drop goes in and can kill people. And yet we sit and watch TV and let the TV throw stuff at us. And we go on WhatsApp groups and we just allow, I hate some of these WhatsApp, especially community WhatsApp groups, where everybody gets an opinion. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry, had a bad day with their spouse and suddenly has to vent it on 150 people in the WhatsApp group. It's like, we know your marriage is not great, but you don't have to tell us every time you just fought with your wife or your husband, just by the mere fact that you're posting right now. Like, we know it's fine. It's really fine. Oh, and then the other way to tell us that you're fighting is when you post a glowing post on Facebook about how much you love each other. You have to start wondering, who are you proving that to? Like, if you really love each other, we really don't want to know. We're happy for you, but why are you telling him what are you trying to prove? So either go vent on a WhatsApp group or start telling everybody how much you love him or her, and we're already going to start doubting what's going on at home. But that's a parenthesis. What are you allowing in? I went on Facebook for 2 minutes before I went on. Just wanted to clear my head a bit. Haven't been on in a few weeks. And again, people posting pictures of themselves. We were so happy 10 years ago, 20 years ago, yesterday. We're so glamorous. And you're like, I think you're trying to convince yourself you're happy. I really think you're trying to convince yourself you're happy. And happy convincing, but if the only way you could convince yourself that you're happy with your life is by telling me that you're happy with your life. I'm not sure that works. And that's what happens. You go on Facebook and it becomes a contagion of comparison. Everybody's comparing their lives. I just think after 14 months of this stuff, 16 months of this stuff already, we should become aware of the power that we have on each other and the power that each thing that enters us has. Each drop of sugar that we have has a power over us. Each unhealthy food, each bad idea, each bad emotion, the stuff, it affects us. It doesn't mean you could become totally, isolated from the world. No, but a little more cautious. Before you go turn on the TV, do you really want to turn on the news today and hear some news that's going to just put your mood down? Before you go and vent on WhatsApp, do you really want to get onto that energy? Oh, by the way, rule of thumb, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Never, ever, ever, ever share your emotions in text on WhatsApp. It is the dumbest thing that's ever been invented. You want to tell your emotions to somebody, call them on the phone or sit face to face. Never, ever type up your emotions. It never works well. Not on WhatsApp, not on email. You're angry, deal with it like a human being, like an adult, face to face or on the phone. What do you want? Do you want anger? Some people almost look like they're addicted to self-pity, to frustration, to pessimism, to irritability, to cynicism. But you wouldn't want that kind of virus. If you saw these things as a virus, would you want it inside? I mean, my computer has an antivirus. I mean, we always knew this, but COVID has made us so super aware how this silly thing on our mouth and doing our hands all the time makes a real difference. And this protects, I don't know, 97% of droplets coming into my body. Yes, we're living through difficult, strange times, but we're living through times that have so much to teach us. COVID will pass. I'm sure there'll be another challenge on the other corner, but COVID will pass. And we will be able to tell for forever that we went through it. Mazel tov. But did it pass over us or through us? Did its lessons, did its messages? Are we going to go out of it and still be nonchalant about touch and feelings and ideas and food? In other words, are we going to realize how powerful the world is to us and how powerful we are to the world? Are we going to realize that where we're at in our own mind matters? That think good, it will be good is not just a cliche. It creates goodness. If you're thinking good thoughts, you're bringing molecules of goodness. You're bringing neurons in your brain of goodness, which are oozing out of you into the atmosphere. I have a silly thing that these days people call me and often will say, "How are you, Rabbi?" And I often say, "I'm feeling fantastic." And they're like, "Really?" I'm like, I want to say it. I want to actually not, tell you about everything. Why? Not because I'm hiding secrets, but because I want to feel fantastic. Like some people will sit there saying, "Rav, how are you? Tell me, like, you're going through a difficult time." And sometimes I appreciate it, and sometimes I'm like, don't remind me. I know I'm going through a difficult time. I know life is tough. I know COVID is tough. But for that one moment, can you make me believe it doesn't exist? Can you bring me a contagion of positivity? Can you tell me a cute joke? Can you tell me a story of nachas? Can you tell me how wonderful my kids are? I don't care. Anything that will uplift. That will uplift. We all bump into each other, hopefully now we're going to bump into each other more in the shops and this, you call each other on the phone. Before you sit there sending something or sharing something that will just deflate, even if it's 100% valid and even necessary, ask yourself, but don't I want to bring up? Why put down? Bring up. This week's Parsha, Ba'alotcha, to go up, to climb up, to push up. It's harder to push up, much harder. I know this even from training. One of the things I hate the worst about training is when I have to start doing shoulder work. But shoulder work like this is one thing, it's fine. Shoulder work like this, I cannot stand. I'm defying gravity. I'm pushing my arms up. I hate it. It's so much easier to just have your arms down, right? You pick your arms up, it's sore. Keep your arms down. You could do it 24 hours a day for months, for years. Because that's what gravity is. Gravity pulls us downward. Naturally, we're pulled downward. Naturally, we're pulled to a place of negativity and pessimism. But it's up to each and every one of us to decide, I don't want to live like this. I want to defy gravity. I want to fly. I want to believe that life is amazing and fantastic and beautiful and that the best days are ahead of me. I want to believe that it's going to be incredible. I want to believe that despite all the tsaras I hear, there is still so much love and goodness and power in this world. There's so much godliness, so much kindness, so much generosity, so much love. And not only do I want to believe it exists, I want to create it. I want to push it into the world. I don't want to be the Chinaman who pushed in a virus and then made it contagious. I want to push other energy. And maybe it won't be as influential as the virus, at least for human eyes. I'll never know. But still, if there's something I could do to bring in positivity, let's do it, people. Let's do it. Bring laughter. Bring joy. Bring optimism. Bring faith. Ask yourself, have you laughed as much this past 12 months as you laughed before COVID? If not, it's a problem. And when we laugh, it shouldn't only be gallows humor, dark humor, cynicism. No, laugh. Mit dem ganzen Herz, with the whole heart. Feel joy. Feel love. Feel connection, feel feelings other than the feelings that are rampant right now, the pessimism, the anger, the despair. Feel it. Not only will it make you happier, it will change reality itself. Because that's the power each and every one of us has, to recreate reality in our image. So l'chaim to each and every one of us. It's not a heavy time. We're living through beautiful times with challenges. We are not living through difficult times with beauty. We're living through beautiful times with challenges. Life is beautiful. It's messy, but it's so beautiful. And each and every moment we get to breathe this life is the greatest gift of all. Long may it last.